This week on Big Eyes, I go missing for the episode, but Jamal is joined by a very special guest, Viz editor Karla Clark. They sit down to talk about Mashle, Kaiju number 8, Undead Unluck, and more. So stay tapped in and keep a lookout, only on the lookout for the Big Eyes podcast.
And welcome to a new episode of the Big Eyes podcast. This is episode 75. I'm excited. This is a quarter of a century or 3/4 of a century. We're getting old. Big Eyes is getting old. I'm happy. So episode 75, I'm so excited because today we have a very, very special guest. She is working on two of two of the newest things that Shonen Jump is doing that is completely taken over. And I'm very excited to have her on here. And her resume is crazy. The things she's like, I can't wait to get into this conversation. Karla Clark, Viz Media editor. How you doing today?
I am tired, but I am great. And I am here. Like all my
Yes, you are. Oh man, are you so okay? You brought up All Might. Are you reading My Hero at all?
It's funny because like I am not.
Are- I mean, is it hard reading other things on like Shonen Jump? Like, I mean, I know you're working on two titles, Undead Unluck and Mashle Magic and Muscles,
Oh, and
right now.
I'm also working on Kaiju number 8.
Oh, you're on Kaiju too?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so dope. That's so dope. Oh my gosh, I did not know you're on Kaiju too. That's so tight. But working on these, three. I mean, pretty much three of the biggest new names. I personally feel like, um, is it hard trying to tap into the other things that is going on Shonen Jump?
It actually is. Um it's hard. Like I get so caught up in like my series and what I'm doing, and I don't always have time to like go and be like, "Oh, what's going on with other people's series?" And so like I'm a My Hero fan, but I never had the time to catch up, like to read the whole manga. I tried when I first got hired, um, but I never made it. I just didn't cross the finish, and I was like, "Oh, well, I'll just watch the anime." Um,
Well, I mean, the anime is in a great place right now. So
I know I need to catch up on the anime now because I was like, "Well, I'm gonna read the manga." When I got hired at Viz, so I stopped watching the anime, and then
you're like, I got access to all the chapters now. Why not? Why not get
yeah,
ahead?
and then I didn't, and now I'm like, "Oh, crap, I'm behind on both now." So I think I'm just gonna I actually really enjoy the anime. I think it's pretty well done and well produced. So I'll probably actually go back to the anime and do that. But what I am interested, their series are recommended to me all the time by like my coworkers. Like Vigilantes, which is like one of the My Hero spin-offs, has been
Yeah.
like, it gets a lot of praise around the office, and I'm like, oh, I think I would be really into that. And I'm like into Eraserhead and the older heroes. Um, but I just when it comes time for me to sit down and be like, all right. It's really hard, and it's like and it's hard to disconnect from the stuff from work sometimes. So,
I
um,
I definitely hear that. I understand that. Like, I mean, outside of this, I work in culinary, in the culinary field,
oh,
and
cool.
I I understand what you're talking about in terms of I cook all day, and then when I get home, I'm like, I don't want to cook. Like,
Mhm, mhm.
I bet it's like that with you in terms of like you're probably reading, looking at panels all day, and then and translating, doing all the other things. And I bet you when you get home and you finally have some time to read, you're like, I don't want to read. Like, I just want to probably sit down and just chill or watch the anime. Like, have it not have to sit down and focus so much on it.
Yeah, it gets a little difficult to like sit and like read stuff unless I'm reading for like acquisitions, which is fun. Like if we're reading to look to see if we want to acquire a title and they're looking for opinions, like that's pretty fun because it's like I don't know. there's like no hard requirement for me to be like, oh, I'm about to like edit this manga. Like I'm just reading it. Is it interesting? Do people like
Yeah.
it?
So when
Um,
you're
mhm.
oh, don't mean to cut you off, but so when you're so are you given titles or are you allowed to kind of select the things that you want to work on? So, like I
For me,
said.
every editor is different, and when I started, I'm kind of like a weird control freak sometimes, and I was like, I'm just gonna request everything that I'm interested in, and this is both good and bad. Um, and, and as a newbie, it was very bad. But I was like, no, it's okay, I got it. And I'm like, so things would come up, and I'd be like, yes, I want to edit that. Um, or sometimes I would preemptively strike and be like, hey, before you even ask anyone else, I'm just letting you know.
Yeah, I want that. Put that on my table like immediately.
Yeah, so some of them I've like backdoored in because I was just like, they were like, "Well, I was just about to ask who was interested," and I'm like, "Well, it's me. I'm the person. I'm interested." Um, and some things get assigned to you, so there's like a blend. But I have a tendency to over volunteer. I've stopped because my plate is full now. Um,
Oh, I mean, definitely. I mean, the things that you're working on right now, like I said, are uh three up and comers that have completely taken over. Undead Unluck, you know, it's I keep wanting to say Mashley. It just
yeah, the title
but
is.
I know it's Mashle, but yeah, but Mashle and Kaiju number 8. I mean, those are three really really popular mangas out right now. I mean, personally, I think with Shonen Jump definitely has, I feel, their cornerstones with the Jujutsu Kaisen, My Hero
Mhm,
Academia.
mhm.
But I definitely see these three being the next pillars, pretty much, of like holding Shonen Jump down for a while.
Yeah, it certainly feels like it. They've got a lot of interest, and I'm really excited um, about working on those three titles, and especially for the graphic novels that all three are receiving print
Yeah.
releases. Um, I never thought I'd get titles so soon. that we're gonna get all these like cool print releases, but here we are. I'm excited and happy about it, and all of them are out except for Kaiju number 8, and that'll be out in December.
And all the I love the covers for all of them.
Oh
Like
yeah,
the
yeah,
artwork for the cover, like the kaiju with the like it's the front and the back cover make one whole.
yeah. It's a wraparound cover. It's on the Japanese Tanko, and we really, really, really wanted to keep the same style and feeling as the Japanese Tanko, even with the same treatments that maybe we wouldn't do on other books. So I hope people really appreciate it. It's got like a metallic spot color and some cool, glossiness and stuff, and some colored pages. Um, what I've seen so far in the production process looks really sweet. So I hope that people go pick it up.
Yeah, definitely. Here at the Lookout, Undead Unluck is definitely is one of the favorites inside the group. So,
Oh, I'm so
um,
happy to hear that. I put so
yeah.
much time into that.
No, I mean, okay. So when working on these three very different titles, these three titles that have different feels to them, how does your mindset change as an editor going into these, and like how does your work process change differently with each title?
That's an interesting question. Um, Interesting in that, well, Shonen Jump has a really fast production time. And my brain doing Shonen Jump is different than doing like just graphic novel releases in general. Um,
Yeah.
um, like meaning that I have less brain power when I work on Shonen Jump. Um, so with the little brain power I have left, I work on these
you're
three.
you're you're like getting those last drops of gas out of it. You're like, we're gonna push it into the final drop.
Yeah, we turn Shonen Jump around so fast. Um, but it's interesting that about the different types of series because yeah, Mashal well, Mashle's kind of come around full circle and has a I feel like it's a kind of even out, but Marshall, Mashal started out kind of gaggy, and so my brain would be like, "What is the best way to render this joke?"
Yeah.
It might be like
Well, I mean, the
one
great thing about
panel.
Mashle is so much. It's so deadpan. Like it's such dry humor, and I
Mhm.
find it absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, it's like keeping Mashal, like giving him like the same deadpan feel across the series is I think is a goal, because like sometimes I might see something and I'd be like, Mashal wouldn't say that. I've gotten to the point where where I'm like, Mash, he doesn't talk like that, and like I need to rearrange this line in the script or whatever. So it's like a different thought process. I go through Mashal faster than I do Undead Unluck, and that's probably because Mashal is a little more lighthearted. It does have some, obviously there's some big battles, but overall the series is pretty lighthearted, and it does have some lore, but it doesn't have like super intense lore. And a series like Undead Unluck, every little thing means something.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, the cool thing about Undead Unluck too is that I love how it calls or like plays on other mangas. Like there's little Easter eggs on in Undead Unluck. Like I think 2-3 chapters ago, like you had the Nimbus and like the
Oh yeah.
Goku.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, even when you read throughout Undead Unluck, like there's little Easter eggs like that throughout it that I really enjoy.
Yeah, and like Undead Unluck is a it's an interesting series to work on, because you never know if the choice that you made is going to come back and bite you later. Um,
Yeah.
because some other chapter might be like, you might be like, we're gonna use this word, and then 2 chapters later, they're like, so that word choice very important, because now there's a whole chapter about it, and you're like, no. So,
No, like, oh man, that's crazy. Like, but I can see that now, especially how the story goes, because things can hit a 180 on Undead Unluck and so quick. Like it's like holy shit! Like where did this come from? Like what?
yeah, it's an interesting series. And at the beginning, when we did it, my translator David, he's great. He's a great translator. He's also works on Kaiju. But for a while, we were getting blindsided, um, by like these little things that we didn't think mattered, and then like the next chapter would be like, so this is the thing, and we'd have to go back, um, and change lines. So that it was like for consistency's sake. So like, and then like will keep you on your toes, and so like it's like when I edit that series, like sometimes I get lost just in the editing process. And then by the time the graphic novel comes around to work on, like I'm rediscovering stuff about the series that I overlooked, because I was so like focused, like hyper focused on the page. Like I'm just like, okay, or is everything flowing? And then it's like I go back and like when I do the graphic novels, it's a little bit more leisurely, because I'm looking for mistakes or maybe things like smoothing out dialogue and stuff like that. And it's like I can kind of enjoy the story more. And then I'll be like, I really um the story for Undead Unluck is, I really appreciate the story. The time that the mangaka has put into this is amazing. And I tell my coworker all the
Definitely,
time, like I'm like, oh wow, I'm like, this story, like when I read it in graphic novel form, I'm like, it's really actually pretty cool. Not that I didn't think it was cool before, but it's just like a new appreciation for like how everything strung
definitely,
together. Um, but Kaiju number 8 is it's just Kaiju number 8 is a lot of fun to work on. I really wanted to work on that series. I volunteered. It was
So you've been doing Kaiju number 8 since the first chapter.
yes, yes.
Okay. Yeah, Kaiju number 8 is definitely um I think it's a bit different than all the other titles on Shonen Jump right now. I mean, even when you just look at the main character, you have an older main character, which is something that you're not really seeing much in Shonen Jump. And I know where this story is going. It took me a while. I'm not gonna lie. It took me a while to like go full fledged in on Kaiju number 8, because I was like, I'm big on, if I can't find it doesn't always have to be the main character,
Right.
but it has to be a character where I'm like, I could connect with that character. It took me a while because I was like, I don't know what character I really like on here yet. And
Mhm.
then as I began to read it, I still really haven't found that character, but I started, like, the story just starts drawing you in more and more. It gets so fast paced and there's so much happening. I mean, even where it's at now, where Kafka's secret's all out, you're like, oh shit, like, now what are they gonna do? Like,
Mhm.
you meet the head director, you do this, and so I think the pacing of the story has completely drawn me into it.
Yeah, it does have a different feel. And I think what your point about like finding a character to like, I think is actually really interesting because I think Kaiju number 8 compared to like Undead Unluck and like Mashle and like My Hero, um, those series kind of have like a colorful cast of characters, as I like to
Definitely a lot of
as I like to call
personalities,
them.
a lot of different personalities.
Yeah. It's the Shonen Jump way. They're like,
Mhm.
here's a group of people, like Naruto. Here, pick a clan, pick a person. Um but and you can find someone.
Options, just
They're like,
options.
"Oh, you don't like the Hidden Leaf? Here are more villages." Like, or like, "Here's some stuff for you." And Kaiju number 8 is so Kafka focused. Um,
Yeah.
and it's interesting because like there are characters surrounding him, right? But like the story is very much his story. And I don't think we've really left his perspective. I mean, we haven't left his perspective the entire time. We haven't gotten side stories with Reno. Like every story involves him in some way, and he's like the main event just about all the time. We have some Kikaru backstory, and I enjoy that. I enjoy her as a character. Um,
Mhm.
I think I latched on. I liked Kafka actually. I thought he was a likable character, and I have a hard time actually liking main characters. But
Same. I I don't know what it is about the main character. It's just I, I think that I think that the main character sometimes doesn't have the it doesn't they sometimes I think the main character doesn't have the freedom that side characters have
hmm
to be certain ways and to act certain ways. Like the main character kind of they have to be, they have to be the base for everyone else.
hmm
So I think there's certain traits and certain things that they can't really have that side characters can have, and I end up always veering towards a side character as being my favorite character in the story,
hmm
just because like Kafka, he is a like his character kind of has to gel everyone together. So Kafka can't really just go out and just be like, you know what, I'm finna just go full kaiju mode and just start blowing stuff up. Like, he can't ever
hmm
do, he can't really do something like that, or just be like, or he can't ever be like the loner type where Kafka kind of just goes in his own corner and like be by himself, because he has to be the glue that keep everything together and like the base for everyone else. I mean, you see that in a lot of manga and like a lot of main characters. Hence why then when I find a side character where like this side character is able to go be the introverted loner type, or go be I'm a big Bakugo stan.
mm
And I love it because he's Bakugo. He's able to be explosive and yell, and his way of being a hero is borderline like villainous. It's like he wants to be a hero of murderous intent. It is funny to me, but I'm like, I like that. I like that about this character. Like Deku couldn't really do that, but
No.
so uh I always tend to like the side characters more because of that.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. They do have a lot of freedom. They're not tethered to anything. The writer has more freedom to, of course, everyone's got an idea image of what a hero should be. Um,
Hmm.
and it's hard to break free of that, I think, in storytelling once you've kind of made up your mind that a character is a hero. And so,
No, yeah, definitely.
but yeah, it's a good,
Um,
Kaiju number 8. I actually do like Kafka as a character, maybe because I'm older and I appreciate that there's a slightly older person who's like out here like, oh, I need a second chance at life. And I'm just like, I didn't kind of gel with that. I didn't really get my life together, right away either. So,
I mean, but you have been, from what I've seen, it may have not been fun while you're actually doing the work, but it looks like you've had a fun career. I mean, we can like your time at fandom. How was that? Because you've gone from a writer and producing content to now you're an editor and now you actually have like this content that you're shaping and forming, for an American audience. But your time as a writer and creating your own, like how was that moment of your career?
It was interesting. Fandom was like the first, like, I guess my first like real job, like I guess real career choice job. Not like, oh, I need this money. I mean, I did need money. I always need money.
I feel that. Hey, I second that.
But
If you're listening to this podcast, both of us,
money, please.
buddy, please hand it to us.
It was my first like real like career job when I finally finished college, and um it was interesting transitioning to that because before I'd always kind of worked a hodgepodge of jobs to kind of like make ends meet. So I would do retail and I would like freelance and I would tutor and I was I was just doing a bunch of stuff and I was like, okay. And then I applied to fandom and didn't expect to get the job at fandom, to be perfectly honest, even though I had the experience that they were looking for. Um, but I did, and I was like, "Wow!" I was like, "Look at me, adult job." Um,
You're, you finally like it's like you finally like taking that full step. You're like, wow, like this is real life. Like I actually gotta like clock in and
I was
like
like,
this is real career,
"Yeah,
signing paperwork.
yeah." I was like, "Wow, okay." Like, I mean, obviously, you don't go into the interview like, "I'm sorry, I just don't. I'm like basically a kid still," but like, you go into the interview with a little more confidence.
Yeah.
But it was like it was just interesting, like that transition. It was so much for me to I don't even know how to like put it into words, but it was jarring to have one job that could
Yeah.
do everything for me at the time, and I was just like, wow, this is crazy. And then I, got there, and it's like fandom was, set up really cool. They had this wall of fandom, and they had like artwork all over, like cool, like nerdy artwork and stuff. And I was like, I never thought that like this nerd stuff was gonna pay off, but here we are. Um, and it was fun. I had so much fun working there because I got to work with young writers and or just inexperienced writers. Not all of them were young, but just like writers who wanted to gain experience and basically learn how to write about their passions on the internet. And like it was a lot of fun being able to do that and to coach people. It combined my tutoring background, and it was something that I felt like I was helping people have a voice. Um, and so it was really fun running the contributor program. And then like in it unofficially being like the anime editor because they never
Yeah.
officially gave me that title, but that's basically what that's what I basically was doing.
Yeah. But I mean, I think the cool thing about fandoms is that they have such this wide variety of topics, especially for people who are into different things like pop culture, anime,
Hmm.
gaming. How was it like being able to, like, did you have like a favorite topic? I mean, outside of maybe anime, because you're writing about so many different things, and was there a topic that you enjoyed writing about, or working with more uh than others, or where you just kind of just like skip it, like I'm just gonna try it all, throw it all in the pot, and like just mix it all up.
I personally really I like doing gaming content. There was like no room for me to do gaming. I mean, I did some gaming stuff for fandom, but they had a really strong gaming team already. Um, but that was more my background. I wanted to go into games journalism. That was what I really wanted to do. Um, or at least one of the things I thought I really wanted to do. So anytime I got a chance to like cover gaming in some way, um, or even just doing copy editing. So like sometimes I would do a lot of background stuff at fandom. And so we would send people out to like E3 or whatever, and it might just be like they would send us the articles, and like our job would be to make the article an article because if you're at E3 and you're just jotting down notes and you're trying to like write an article, like if the article comes in super rough.
Yeah, it's bullet points, and yeah, I get it. I we have a copy team here at my job that I work closely with. and they pretty much like turn our recipes
Mhm.
into actual like post. And it's funny because I'm always sending them like bullet points on how
Yeah.
to make something, and then just the ingredients, and then they take that and make it into something great. So shout out to all the copy out there, because
It's fun to do because you're like, what am I gonna have to get? Um, and you're like looking for assets and stuff like that. But like, so I would do some background stuff like that for fandom. I'd be on standby for big events and stuff to like clean up articles or shape them, help write them, or sometimes I would write articles remotely on other things that the team couldn't cover. Because I'd be watching also, um, but from our home base. So it
Yeah.
was interesting. I enjoyed it, and I think at fandom is where I really learned that I did enjoy editing. Um, I enjoyed I mean, there's different types of editing, but at fandom the sort of back and forth and like with writers and like just really just trying to help them draw out what they were trying to say. It was really fun for me to do that. And I was able to take those skills to Viz um, in an editing role that's I guess a little less communicative, um, but still I get to work with words, and I think that was like the big thing. Like, yeah, like I enjoy like all this nerd entertainment stuff. I've been gaming and reading manga, watching anime. Like it's all has been this huge part of my life, and I'm also like a word nerd. Um, and so I was able to combine those two things. I thought I would have to take a boring job somewhere. I don't know, like sell my soul to Facebook or something, but like I didn't have to do that, and that's great. Um,
Sold your soul to Facebook. That's hilarious. So you're from the Bay Area then?
yeah, I'm from Oakland.
Okay, cool, cool,
I
cool,
feel like
cool, cool.
Oakland people always like
Like,
to specify that too. Like
no,
we're like, yeah,
so
we're in
my
the Bay, but like we're from Oakland.
my mom spent a good amount of her life, like her I say her formative years of her life in SoCal.
Hmm.
And then I'm from St. Paul, Minnesota, and she moved to St. Paul. And originally she was gonna move us back, and she was gonna move us to Oakland, and I have like family from Oakland. And uh yeah, Oakland people from Oakland take very much pride in Oakland. Like, they're like, nah, bro, like, I'm not from, like, let me be very specific here. Like, I've met people from Oakland that have like told me like the exact street they're from. Like, I'm like, I don't know where that is, but you know what? I respect the fact that you are like, they're like, they hold it down. Um, so, growing up in Oakland, like, let's meet young Karla. Like, how did you, like, what was your introduction to even like anime, manga? Like, how was that?
Sailor Moon.
Yeah. Shout out to Victoria.
Right.
Shout
Yeah, Sailor Moon was when I was in elementary school. Sailor Moon came out, and like I used to run home and watch. I don't even know how I found it. Like I think I just kids flipping through TV. Okay, no one understands this reference anymore. Back in the day, you couldn't choose what to watch.
you just you had a set schedule, and
Yes,
you had to respect the
yes.
schedule.
The TV guide. If you were gonna miss
TV
it,
guide, yep.
if you missed it, you missed it. That was it. You know, there was no like, oh, I'll come back and watch this. You just set up a VHS recording tape, and 9 times out of 10 that didn't work. So, but I used to run home, like run home. My parents picked me up, race home, after school on Wednesdays because that was our minimum day schedule. And it was the only day I could get home early enough to watch Sailor Moon. Like when it actually came on TV, because it came on like at some weird time and like in the middle of the day, right after Bananas in Pajamas. Um, and at the time, I didn't know it was like anime. I was just like, I just really like this really cool show, and it's like got all these girls, and they're like they got powers, and it's like love, and it's like evil people. I was like, this is like the most amazing thing I've ever watched in my life. Um, and so my dad would try to record it for me, also, like on days where I was like at school. But again, VHS technology was not great. Um, so yeah, so Sailor Moon was really the introduction to that, and I was really into it. And then I think like my next major jumping off point was probably I was gonna say Dragon Ball, but I don't think that's right. I think it's actually Tenchi Muyo. Um, um, so Tenchi Muyo, Dragon Ball, that whole Toonami block
Yeah.
started, and like I was like really into those shows, and then
Toonami really changed the game.
Cowboy
Like,
Bebop, which is like one of my favorite
yeah.
things ever. Actually, that's one of the not to go back to fandom, but I did organize like a whole like group of articles and content for Cowboy Bebop for the anniversary before I left. And that was actually a fun group of articles put together.
I'm gonna have to find that because Cowboy Bebop was. I mean, I had watched. I had like you said, like I was into the Dragon Balls and whatnot. But Cowboy Bebop was really the anime that like changed how I viewed anime. Cause I was like, wow, I was like, this is actually really beautiful. This is like a wild story. Like you get these characters who are, there's it's not as bubbly and playful as other anime that I've watched. Like there's some real seriousness. It's like some noir to it. And I was like, wow, like this is completely different than anything I have ever,
Mhm, mhm.
watched before.
It's so
So
good. Like even revisiting it, like later in life when I had to put the articles together and I interviewed some of the the English voice cast. It was like I was like, wow, this is like still really holding up. I was like, this is an amazing series. Um, like I was still into it. And it's one of the few series I can watch in English or in Japanese. Because I feel like they just both hit emotional notes very well. But it's yeah, and Trigun and stuff like that. Like I was really into those types of shows, and eventually I got into manga. I was mostly reading shojo because love stories, I guess. Um,
I've been getting more into shojo, and I think I shonen myself out. I mean, granted,
mhm,
doing a show that's based around shonen, like hey,
mhm.
but I've been trying to read more shojo. I got into Boys Over Flowers.
Okay,
Uh,
my coworkers talk to me about that one all the time because it's so funny because I never read it. And
it's I'm doing all like Viz plugs right
are
now. All
you
right,
reading it in
like
the Shonen Jump Vault, the part two?
yes.
Okay, because I never read OG Boys Over Flowers, and when part two came out, I was like, well, maybe I should read part two since it's ironically in the Shonen Jump Vault. Um,
I know. Okay, your access to the vault is probably way more like expansive than my access to the vault. Do you like to tap in like do you go into like the little Shonen Jump vault and like some things that like how much of advantage do you take with that? Because you'll probably catch me in there every day. I would like probably wouldn't leave it.
it's funny because like when I first got hired, I was in the vault more. Um, I also wasn't working on Shonen Jump right away when I got hired. I was working on just like graphic novel stuff. So maybe that's that's why it was easier for me to jump into the vault. But I would always pick something that was like super obscure. Um, like I'd be like, "Oh, is this series about a penguin? I want to read about the penguin."
Oh, are
And
you
I'm
talking about you talking about Penguin and
yeah.
I or God? I love that. Oh my
So
God, I
like
love.
again, so this is why I
I
never read My Hero because I'll go in the vault and be like, "Oh, but what's this little weird series over here?" And like here I am.
I was shout out to Jeff. Shout out to Jeff. He does the Lookout with Meals, and I was sending him screenshots of Penguin and I, and he was like, "What is this?" And I was like, "This is the funniest thing I've ever read. Like, it reminds me of like the newspaper cartoons."
Yes, yes.
And it's like every chapter is like that, and they're so ridiculous. Like she's trying to hide this pet penguin. Like the boy comes over and he's like, or like oh my gosh, I love that. I love that you brought that up. I think that little series. I mean, it's not even long. It's probably like what, like 20 chapters maybe.
There's like some cute stuff in the vault, so it's like interesting because like my shonen knowledge, like I have shonen knowledge for like the bigger series, um, but I think also like when you're doing journalism, it's like it kind of like that's what it requires. It's like you to be into like keep up with all the big series. Um, so it's nice to like take a break. I mean, there's nothing wrong with like being like, oh, okay, yeah, all these keep up with all this news going on with all these big series. But it's like nice that I don't have that requirement anymore.
Yeah.
Because now I don't feel like I have to watch like it's like that episode comes out at whatever like crack of dawn hour, and I have to be up and I must watch it because I must be in the know so that if there's discourse I will be there. um
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure, yeah, fandom, it was like that, just having to stay on top of the latest of the latest as soon as it drops. I know that probably can be, I mean, even like, we're very, it's very specific here, working with manga. So I know that just being on top of manga, it really isn't that hard, but you know, it's something where I'm like, all right, as soon as the chapters drop, like I'm reading them,
mhm.
and I need to make sure that like I know what's going on. But I know, when you were working at fandom, you had such just wide variety of stuff where it's probably like overload sometimes, or you're like,
Yeah, because I had to keep up with big stuff, or I'd have to recruit writers who would keep up with big stuff because like obviously I can't do everything. um and and then it's like you're trying to also find interesting new ways to talk about it, right? So that means you got to watch all the weird series that came out, which which is also fun. Like I found series I really liked that were weird. They were just super weird, like that horse girl anime that came out what a few years ago. I was kind of into it. I was like, hey guys, there is literally a horse girl series, and they would be like, what? And I'm just like, yeah. And I'm like, but anime, and they'd be like, okay. And that was my description to people who didn't watch anime. They'd be like, did you hear about this? And I'd be like, yes, because anime just does thing.
that's always the reason, because anime. Let's I'm gonna make that like my email signature, like, because anime.
Yeah,
Like
that's
that's,
it. There's
that's the
nothing you say will surprise me if it happens in anime. Like, so yeah, it's just yeah, it was interesting. I like obscure stuff, and actually, like, I only spend half my time working on Shonen Jump. So, like, I'm a part timer. Um, at Shonen Jump. I'm not a full. I mean, although they've embraced me as a full member of Shonen Jump,
Yeah,
but I work on a lot of other titles for Viz. So
because you're jumping back between the Shonen Jump stuff and the print.
yeah, I'm technically between two teams. So it's an interesting role. I took it from someone else who is now full Shonen Jump. Um, and I split my time to basically just help out both sides. I help out
Yeah.
Shonen Jump, and I also help out the graphic novel division. Um, is where I get to do a lot of other stuff. I like working on a wide variety of titles. I love Shonen Jump. It's great. Um, but I like having the freedom to work on things outside of Shonen Jump.
Yeah, definitely. So in the beginning of the pandemic, we had another Viz editor, Mr. Mike Montessa.
That's my cube
He
mate.
What?
When we're in the office,
Wow. The
R.I.P. to
cube
the
mates have
office.
both been on the Big Eyes podcast. See, this is divine intervention. This is like, this was meant to be. Mike Montez is an amazing person. I love him so much, and I also, he has the funniest, like, I don't know if it's a blog post on Viz, but when they take pictures of his outfits,
Mm.
uh that's a great one, and I like, yeah, that's a hilarious post. But we had him on as the beginning of like the pandemic, and he's talking about like, how that first day was when they, like, everyone had like to go home and they had to pack everything up, and I'd been working from home, and now we're a year and a half later. How has things changed in the office? Like, how has your work style even changed? Like, I know, like, working on print and then working on SJ, like, those are two, you know, different work styles, but like, how has kind of your day to day changed a bit now, or like, how is it different now?
Um, that's a good question, and I think like for the yeah, I've worked remotely before. Actually, most of my career jobs I could do remotely, so the transition for me wasn't as hard. Um, and I did help make recommendations on what we could do. Like because I think Viz has a very print like culture. Um, and so I was like, well, here are tools. I know these tools that we can use to do things remotely. So some of the things, got implemented for us to help. Um, so for me, I was like, oh, sweet, I get to work from home because I just don't like getting up to go do stuff. So
I feel that. I feel that.
to be perfectly honest, like the office is cool. I like the people at the office, but I was like, oh, if I could just like get up and roll over and grab my laptop, that sounds ideal. But not from that. That's not ideal for everyone. Some people need like the division of space. Um, but my work style is interesting because like now I think it's kind of tapped into like my chaotic like uh workaholic nature in that I feel like I don't think I'm working more, but I think I'm working more throughout the day. If that makes sense. So like I'm working on and off, or I'll be like, I'm gonna go make dinner, and I'll go make dinner, and then I'll like come back and be like, ah, yes, now I will continue what I was doing. Um, and so it's nice in a sense because like I feel like I've gotten some sort of balance where I feel like I can kind of do things around the house, hang out with my kid, stuff like that. Oh, okay. That is I thought I turned off all notifications. But but yeah, now I'm kind of like I have some freedom to plan my schedule a little easier instead of being like I must sit in the office for 8 hours straight. Um,
Yeah.
so that's kind of nice. But then it's also like you miss some things, like you don't really get to touch paper or like seeing print quality sometimes is a little difficult when you're like doing things remotely. Um, so you have to like
So are things printed at the office, like,
mhm.
or is that like a whole separate?
No, we have
Okay.
other place oh, no.
I was gonna say like I didn't know if, like you're like getting like the books like hot off the press, like literally
No.
like getting. I would be like, yo, that
That would
is
actually be really sweet, I wish we did. Um, no, we get them they get sent to us from, like,
okay.
our printer will send us proofs and stuff that we can review before they go off to print them, they basically, give us, like, a Hail Mary pass where they're just like, "Are you sure this is what you want? Because we're about to go to the presses with this." And we're like
Are you sure? Like, you positive? This is what you want? All
You
right.
better be sure, because if not, this is gonna cost a ton of money to fix.
A lot of money.
Um, so yeah, my style is like, yeah, in some ways it's more chaotic, and in some ways I'm a little bit more grounded, just because I get to like, I have some freedom to do some other stuff or to take breaks, walk away, um, do things in the middle of the night if I want to. Because sometimes I'm actually kind of like sometimes I'm a night owl and I just work better at night sometimes than during the
Hmm.
day. Um, So yeah, it hasn't been too hard for me. I'm pretty okay with remote work, and I think everyone's really done a good job of transitioning to it. The manga must go. It must flow. And
Yeah, it must flow. It must
it,
flow. I'm very appreciative. You guys give me. I look forward to Sundays every Sunday
Mhm.
because
And Shonen Jump
I love it.
especially, it lends itself really well to remote work actually, because this
Yeah,
is a digital process, so it's like there's not like all these paper checks that need to happen. Um,
yeah.
so that transition for that team, I think, has been really, really very, 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 very smooth. Um,
Hmm.
so
It's a
Shonen Jump
little
is like
different
an
when you
easy
gotta have your
part
hands
probably.
on the physical thing, right?
Yeah, with other stuff, you're like, oh, let me pull out the Tonko and like, let me try and compare it and
uh, before we wrap this up,
yeah,
two questions.
sure.
One, how are the snacks at the Viz Media office? You guys got good snacks in there. I feel that you guys' snack game is probably crazy there.
So the snacks vary because so like I've worked for other companies where they have like a dedicated snack, like pantry thing. Um and Viz doesn't have that. You would think they do, but
Oh,
they don't.
yeah, I really thought they would.
No, yeah, my expectation too. But there is a so there's like a vending machine that we have. It's like a discounted vending machine, and like that's fine, whatever. But the real treat with Viz, actually, that I kind of like more than like the dedicated pantry that other companies have, is that so many people are from Japan in Viz that they're constantly going to Japan and bringing back random stuff from Japan to eat for the
See,
office.
there we go. That's what I was looking for. I just need to know like how many different flavors of Kit Kats did you
Yes,
guys have?
yes.
Like, did you guys have like the Pokey sticks? Like, I need to know that.
Yeah, like they would always go and come back, and it's just like, oh, I brought back Kit Kats, or I brought back like those banana things, or uh like Pocky stick, just all types of stuff. Like I've tried so many different types of candy. I tried a boozy candy one time where I was like, I should not have done this. I might be having problems right now with alcohol and not be able to concentrate because I didn't know that the alcohol content in this candy was so high. I'm
Yeah.
like,
She was at work. The words were like bending. You're like, whoa, what is this?
I was like, oh wow, bourbon candy, and in America, that's just like, oh, we sprinkled it with bourbon, but like apparently not other places.
No, they're like, no, we're putting like real bourbon in there. Like,
I
you're
was
gonna be
like,
lit.
I was
Like,
like, is this a shot? Like I, I was yeah. So that was yeah, I like that aspect of Viz. Like, and it's not just Japan. Actually, people go to other places too. There are a lot of like international people working in the office. They might go to like Spain or like just so many different places. And it's like so customary to bring back something for everyone to eat, in the Japanese tradition of like
yeah.
we went away and here's a souvenir for everyone. So I kind of like that aspect a lot more than seeing
No, yeah,
like that
definitely.
pantry full of the same stuff that I've seen everywhere.
Definitely. Okay, last question before we go. All right. You're going on a road trip. You have
Hmm.
3 seats available.
Okay.
Which 3 anime characters are you riding with?
Oh god, I knew it was gonna be like something like this. I'm so bad at these questions. It's like the deserted island. What would you bring
These
on a
questions
road
are
trip?
fun because it makes you really think. Like you gotta, you always get fun answers with these because you gotta think about like what anime characters would you really want to go on a road trip with?
Right, because there's the characters that you like, obviously, right? And then there are the characters who would be horrible on a road trip, though. So like, there's like you're like, oh, I like that person, but I would probably fight them to the death if they were in my car.
You just pull over. You're like, nah. Yeah, you gotta walk the rest of the way. You gotta greyhound it.
Yeah, it's interesting because I was like, oh, it's gotta be people who are like pleasurable to hang out with. I'm like, oh man, that's interesting. Okay, so I'm on a road trip and I need 3 people. Um, Geez. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Okay. Um, you know what? I'm just gonna say, oh no, but this is hard. Okay, I'm gonna say, actually, you know what? Shen from Undead is actually a really fun character, and it's between him and Ano Un, but I think I'm gonna go with Shen because I think he was the character that I first really liked in Undead Unluck. So there you go, Shen, but maybe not like, zombies Shen.
Not zombie Shin.
So
I think zombie Shin would not be nah. I don't think that would be fun being stuck in a car
yeah, I'm
with that.
not really quite sure how it works with the Jiangxi thing, but but yeah, some version of Shen in the car is fine. Let's see who else would I put in the car? Um,
And they
I
could
guess
be anybody. It doesn't need to be just the work that you're working.
yeah.
It could be
I think I would
a
say
vast variety.
I think I would do Sailor Jupiter.
Oh yes,
Is
me and you are gonna be best friends. So if you're looking at my screen name, I have so Victoria was on the show. We did a Sailor Moon special episode,
mm.
and I haven't changed my name since that, and it's still like LJ Jupiter.
Oh wow, okay. I thought maybe you just like the planet.
But no. I know like Sailor Jupiter. Like I have a whole like list of like we got the same birthday. We both like to
Oh,
cook.
she's my
I'm only
favorite.
2 inches taller than her.
Yeah, she's my favorite Sailor Scout since I was a kid. So,
Oh, me and Karla are best friends. This is just solidifying this.
and then I guess I need one more person. Oh my god. I read some dark stuff, and I think that's why I can't pick these people to be in the car with me. I'm just like, oh,
Ooh,
I'm like, oh, what about the earlier stuff? And I'm like, oh gosh, no, they're all depressed and emo.
the
Um,
gloomy. Yeah. Have someone like Kaneki in there.
no, no, no. Stay out of my car. Let's see. Some of my favorite series are actually really depressing, so it's like I have to like go into stuff that's like other characters who are a little bit more likable, or maybe won't bring down the mood of the road trip. Um, let's see. So one more character would be. Mm, that's where now my like it's like this feels like do or die too. I'm like so stressed out now. Uh, I'm like mentally reviewing my collection on my
You got to go
shelf.
through the Rolodex. You got to know who you're calling.
I'm like, okay. I'm like, all right, what's on my shelf? Who was a cool character in that one? And I think maybe. Oh, this is hard. Okay, no,
I
no,
stumped her.
no, no. Oh, because I just it's there's so many cool characters now. Now I don't know who I want to take anywhere. Maybe I don't know. I think I'm gonna say I would take Spike from Cowboy Bebop
I love it. I
because
love it.
he's just so chill and so cool, and I just know that it'll make the ride chill and cool. I don't know. I feel like that's three different personalities right there.
I think Spike would. I think that is three very different personalities there.
So maybe what I actually
I
want is
think
chaos. Um,
I think Spike would actually, but Spike would be cool because I think he would like be down to help drive. Like he would be like, "Nah, I'll take the
yeah,
wheel."
you gotta have somebody who can drive.
Yeah.
I get tired.
Yeah. Well, Karla, thank you so much for coming on to the Big Eyes podcast. Hang out. It was such a great time. Can you please tell people like where to find you on social media or anything like that?
Oh yeah, don't find me. No, kidding.
I also respect that too. I respect that also.
I am on Twitter, like even though I'm a bad Twitterer, because I go through spurts of like I'm talking a lot of talking and then I disappear. I'm at Twitter at um decaf underscore pixel underscore cat with a K, or if you just type in Battle Angel Carlita, you will find me. Oh, I could have said Alita.
That's such a dope name too. I love
I'm
that.
never good at Twitter names. That was the one time I did it right.
You did it. You won with that one. You really won with that one. That one is so dope. That one you won with that
I
one.
was reading Battle Angel and then I watched it on the movie on the plane, and then I was like, oh, I wish I could have a cool name like everybody else on Twitter. And I was like, oh my god, Battle Angel Carlita. Um, so I did that.
Another really great series. Amazing
Yeah,
series.
actually,
Yeah.
I was reading that one, and it's a really great series. I love it. And yeah, where else can you find me? Probably nowhere, because that's the only place that I am semi interesting. So, but yeah, pick up my work. Pick up stuff.
Yeah, make sure you're checking out Undead Unluck. Make sure you're checking out Kaiju number 8, and make sure you're reading Mashle,
Yeah,
Muscles and Magic.
and
Once
yeah,
again,
Urasawa too. Pick up some Urasawa stuff. I put a lot of time into
yeah,
that.
pick it all up. Listen, you gotta make sure you have a wall fully dedicated to Karla Clark's all her stuff that she has edited and worked on. You gotta have that wall on there. So thank you so much. People who are listening, make sure you follow, subscribe to the Lookout RNC. Make sure you're listening to RNC Radio Live. As always, thank you again. Drink more water, watch more anime, live more life.